should be, but it was fun run, and I think I played 4 hill matches, so I got a little drama involved. But what a card we have here to start the final 64 on table 1. All 3 of these matches could easily be the final. A little light with the lag there from Jesus, so it'll be FSR to break the balls here in game 1.
Spain and Venezuela are 2 of a remarkable 29 countries represented in the last 64. 5 continents are represented as well. This tournament isn't just terrific, it is totally and utterly cosmopolitan.
I think the cue ball, I thought it was going to hang, but this table again a little slicker than the rest, and now ball in hand for Jesus to start. There's that little flick off the 9 we see so often. It sometimes causes golden breaks, but I'd say more often than not it ends up a little negative maybe. A lot of kisses where the cue ball gets lost, and here's one to open. Jesus likes to use that draw stroke quite a bit, so he'll just draw back to the rail where he's standing and back out. I thought Jesus, you know, I was playing a match, but my opponent was doing a lot of the playing at the beginning last night, and I kind of watched a little bit of him and Benji Buckley, and Benji played a pretty solid match to open, and Jesus really showed a lot of resolve, I thought, which is something that I think is probably something he needs to acquire more of with all the talent he's got. But sometimes some gritty wins are just as good as those ones that are a bit more flashy, and he was really awesome to qualify.
Well, I think already in our 3-week WNT stay on the east coast of America, Atencio has been involved in the best match. That last 16 affair at the Florida Open against John Morra, it was an absolute cracker. If you didn't see it, Morra went 5-0 up. Atencio then led 9-5. But just when it seemed as though he was a certainty to win, he missed a short-range 4-ball. Everything turned. Morra ended up winning 10-9.
And John Morris qualified into this final 64 as well. If you advance, you'll play 2 matches today to get to the final 16 for the weekend. Looks like he fell a little funny. He could use the draw stroke again if he wanted. Come out 2 rails with a high ball. Okay, he's kind of corner to corner here. That's the longest stretch, so he's going for the extension. Excuse me. And this is where Jesus really just moves the cue ball so easily. Coming 1 rail back over, not a problem.
Certainly when you get to single elimination, scratching on the break is never a good thing. Far more often than not, it leads to loss of rack, and it most certainly did for FSR there. So Atencio draws first blood. His tournament thus far, well, he started off with 2 very convincing victories over Matt Ross and Petri Mäkinen, both by 9 racks to 1, but then hit a bump in the road. In winners qualification, he was edged 9-8 by Victor Zielinski on this main table, actually. But as Jeremy said, he bounced back with that 9-4 win over Benji Buckley to be involved right now. Obviously, the amount of matches reduced on days 4, 5 and 6 as the bulk of the field have gone home. 75% of them have departed. It was a 256 player field to begin with. Michael Bohannon has taken the first rack on table 2 from Tyler Steyer. Badr Alawadi of Kuwait, he's 1-0 up on Nicholas Tan. and Jonas Suto, who escaped last night with that win over Elliot Sanderson. Sanderson didn't play the best of positional shots on the 8 ball at Hill Hill. He missed the 8 down the rail playing with low left. Suto tidied up and now he leads Naoki Oi 1-0. Also, Chris Reinholdt, former US Mosconi Cup player, he's 1-0 up on Sullivan Clark.
And got the 1 down. Great spread. The cue ball was a little thin on the bottom, but near the 2. I don't think anything offensive here to start, so it should be a safety. Don't know if there's a kiss shot off the 5 in the side. That would be something a player would look at. Yeah, it sure looks like it goes to me, and it looks like he can just kind of roll it in, go forward a bit. Doesn't look like it needs a lot of speed. Looks to me if you thump it in, you could actually miss this, but if you kind of smooth it off the purple, yeah, see how he tried to put speed on it? Thought that made it missable, and that was all about trying to get position on with the 3 ball.
And in the end, a little fortunate not to leave the 2. Now, Francisco Sanchez Ruiz, he could not have had a more untroubled passage to this stage. 3 matches, 3 runaway victories.
He's going to be a little upset about that. I don't know if he's left any of the blue 2, but he's left a much easier kick shot than he wanted.
'94th in the World Nineball Tour rankings, but you know that's a false position. You know he's going to improve on it.
Yeah, and that's why that safety, you know, not getting everything out of it, it's going to be upsetting for FSR. Now he's up against it with the kick on the blue 2. Should hit it. But probably an underdog to get safe, and certainly an underdog to make it.
So FSR started out with a 9-1 win over David Schlemperis. Then he beat Med Vergara 9-2, and in winners qualification, Payne McBride 9-1. Absolutely serene progress.
Yeah, and Matt Vergara and Payne McBride both play very, very well and have had big wins here this week. Yeah, he was always going to be upset about hitting underneath that. The scratch was always going to be a possibility. Now another ball in hand for Jesus.
Yeah, 2 scratches into the same pocket.
Yeah, really impressed with the setup, the little change that Matchroom has made this week. The 3 tables with the stands there for all the fans, and of course the main table always dressed up beautifully, but I think they really put a lot of good thought into this event. Spectators first.
Yes, and we had that quality quadrant as well, didn't we, at the Florida Open at the Carib Royale Resort, where the crowd levels were off the charts. Crowds here have been excellent, and around the main table they've been in from morning till last ball potted. That's the setup that Jeremy was just talking about, the 3 tables in a line. If you're in the middle there and you're towards the back row of seats, you can see everything really well. And of course, they're the stream tables, so the top players will be involved out there.
And Jesus, I'll tell you, when you get to this final 64, you can really feel like it's a different tournament, a new tournament starting. You can certainly be a little nervous or a little, you know, what's the right word I'm looking for? Overwhelmed, maybe a hair. Because you're in the class of a lot of great players, but he looks very loose here to start this match. Of course, ball in hand doesn't hurt as far as getting that arm loose, but just a few swings that I'm noticing. Looks very focused.
Look, we'll never know what caused him to miss that 4 against Mora, but I got the impression it was more a lapse in concentration than nerves getting hold. I don't think he's that kind of player. I think he can handle it big time.
Yeah, well, you know, whether you have to acquire some things to make it better for you, you know, brain-wise and mentally, certainly got all the tools, but he used to be a player that would want to get himself going and really not put as much, you know, process effort before every shot, you might say. But now he's making that transition, and I totally agree with you on that 4 ball. I think he just kind of rushed it, took it a little for granted, and, you know, consequently, it gave us an incredible match.
As I said, when he scratched initially, FSR, they are expensive when you're up against quality opposition. And the second one was equally expensive. So it is 2-0 to the Venezuelan. He's had a light schedule this year. Doesn't play an awful lot of these big international events, but every time he turns up, he makes an impact. He was 6th in the Derby City Classic 9-ball. He was runner-up in the US Open 10-ball and got to the last 16 of the Pro Players Championship, and we talked about his run to the last 16 of the Florida Open, where he beat some really good players there. So I think he's ready to break through and maybe get his name on that Barry Berman trophy. It would be a surprise, but it wouldn't be a shock. On table 4, someone whose CV is extensive, Niels Feijen. He's just about to take a 2-0 lead over Konrad Jezushin. He's got a mid-distance 9-ball, which he's missed by an absolute street.
Yeah, you always talk about it. Also, that was a big decel there from Niels, and very surprising.
And when you decel, you overcut, and that's what he did.
Yeah, that's Matchroom YouTube channel. You can check that match out. 2 great players. Looks like Niels may get away with it. We'll see.
On table 3, Matt Edwards from New Zealand. He's 2-0 up on Vuong Kok Wang. On table 2, the other stream game on WNT.tv. Tyler Steyer and Michael Bohannon have shared the first 2 racks. Bohannon winning the first, Steyer the second.
Yeah, and that scratch on the break. We'll see after this long 2-ball, though. Could be more taxing. Gets this down, a possible 3-9 combination to end game 3. Now he's overran this a bit. Does he play the kiss shot onto the 9? Maybe the bank on the 3? I think when he shot the 2 with that high ball, he was figuring to run into the 8 with the cue ball and dress up on this combination a bit more. If this 9's off the rail, though, it's a pretty easy kiss shot. Or let's say very playable. Just don't baby it too much. Yeah, very good.
Atencio quickly at 3-0. I can tell you Niels Feijen, after missing that 9-ball badly, did get a second chance, and he banked it at pace into the side, so he leads Konrad Jezushin 2-0. 2-0 for Dennis Grabber over Carlo Biardo, the World Nineball champion, out on table 9. Badr Alawadi of Kuwait 2-0 up on Nicholas Tan of Singapore. John Morrett and Marvin Assis 1-1. Alexa Pachelch has taken the first rack from the tallest player on the World Nineball Tour, Romania's Cristian Sadea. Mieszko Fortunski, he's 1-0 up on Bernie Regulario. A total of 10 Filipinos have made the last 64, more than any other nation. Next best, USA, Poland and Chinese Taipei with 6. And one of those Filipinos, Jeffrey Rodder, has taken the first rack from Oliver Sholnocki. And Lucas Fragasso Werner, keep an eye on him. So much rests on today, maybe tomorrow for him, because if he has a deep run here, that US Mosconi Cup is very much a possibility. He could qualify as of right. Well, on table 11, he's 1-0 up on Albin Auschen. And Jonas Suto, who really gets on with it, the Spaniard, he's 2-1 up on Naoki Oi. But no match out there is more progressed than this one.
He's missed the one on the side. The 9-ball's flirting with the other side pocket. Little things to start. It looks like the one's past the side of Harris, so it's going to be difficult sledding here for FSR to try and, you know, not only just get a few shots in, but get on the board.
Saw a number of golden breaks yesterday, Jeremy, so I'm expecting a few more today.
That's funny because we were talking about early yesterday. We haven't hardly seen any golden breaks.
Yeah, that's right. They all turned up yesterday.
Yeah, they all showed their face. And it's going to feel like a different tournament, I think. It already does to me, just being in here now 30 minutes and getting the feel of the players, watching them play at the tables. But I think the fans are going to notice that as well. I think your spectators at home will do the same. It's going to push out here. Just move the cue ball a little bit. Came off the rail with the cue ball quite a bit. So I'm curious now what Jesus is going to see. There's a kind of a teasing shot where you could bank the 1-2 rails at the 9 and the side. Don't think that'll be the play, but that's what he's looking at. Now you can cross the 1, put it between the 4 and the 9. So look at this shot he's entertaining. It's entertaining, banking the 1-2 rails at the 9, drawing the cue ball back behind the 2. Now, I'm not going to lie, it sits pretty decent. Okay, he's going to need some help as far as the safety side.
Yeah, far too narrow, wasn't he?
Yeah, now can FSR just pocket the 1 and get some kind of bank on the 2 at the 9? Because the 2's difficult to get position on, I think, so. But as far as learning some things, if you remember that John Mora match, up 9-7, Jesus swung at the 9 a few times in areas you wouldn't expect a pro player to do so. And here again, up 3-0, and really has had the handcuffs on FSR early. Probably played a bit of a loose one there.
Yeah, I still think there's a certain degree of looseness in his shot selection. Not in his game particularly, but in his mindset, Atencio. He does tend to go for the odd one too many. And he's a little impatient in getting over the line, isn't he?
Yeah, and you know, that'll still come with maybe playing more events and a hair more maturity, but that's also what makes him great, as he buries some of those big ones and then can put racks together. So, you know, there's an argument to some of that. We were talking about it last night, the Spanish Open, if you remember, Beisterbosch, some of the crazy shots he went for, but also got him to that final, along with the guy that ended up winning that final. Dang. Very, very aggressive player also.
Yeah, Dang Junhu. It was one of the most unconventional finals we've ever had at a Matchroom Major. Surprising couple of finalists, but it was very good to watch.
Yeah, really felt bad there had to be a loser in that semifinal with Pius Labudas. He played so well to get beat Hill, I believe it was, by Beisterbosch.
Seems like ages ago. That was only 2 years back. My abiding memory of that tournament, Jeremy, scrambling up that steep hill to get the bus with you tugging at me to get me up there.
Is that what you call it, tugging?
Well, you were giving me some assistance. I would never have got to the top of that hill without you.
Yeah, I'll never forget that, Phil. But yeah, that was a beautiful city, Lugo.
And that was a beautiful rack, much needed by a resident of the country where Lugo is, Spain. 3-1, FSR on the board. Strange week for Dennis Grabber. He's been playing some really good stuff, but he did suffer that 9-0 whitewash against Luong Doctien, bounced back brilliantly from that, and now he's 3-0 up on Carlo Biado. This is the order of play. Coming up on table 1 after our opening match, it will be Eklund Kachi of Albania against Ko Pin Yi of Chinese Taipei, Ko having knocked out Shane Van Boning yesterday. Then it is Scotland's Jason Shaw. I think he's in a good place, actually, Shaw. I think he's playing really nicely, but it's a tough task to overcome Austria's Max Lechner. On table 2, you can see Michael Bauanen has taken a 2-1 lead over Tyler Steyer. Next up there, Johan Chur against Torsten Homan. Homan having won very convincingly against Felix Vogel to earn his place in the last 64. And Aloysius Schaap. We haven't talked a lot about him, but he won the Florida Open. Why can't he win this? Well, there's no reason whatsoever. On table 3, Duong Kok Wang 2-1 down to Matt Edwards. Next in line, Victor Zielinski against Harry Vergara and Daniel Massaol against Wu Kunlin. By the way, our graphics team haven't been negligent not putting a flag next to Victor Zielinski. He is from Poland, but he has stated he doesn't want to represent Poland. So that's why the flag isn't there.
Yeah, snookered off the break, got the one down with ease. Sure had a lot of tension on the cue ball considering that scratch, that kiss, the opening rack to get Jesus started. But again, that loose shot may not cost him that much, but he's got to be careful with those. I feel like we're going to see some players put some packages together here these next couple days.
Must say this, Jeremy, and I think you'll agree. You know far more about it than I do because you've had personal experience of it. I think the playing conditions here and also at the Florida Open have been absolutely outstanding. At the table mechanics, we call them table fitters in the UK. I think they deserve a big round of applause.
Yeah, I told him after the first day being here and getting some practice in, I said, don't let any of these players fool you. Don't let them complain about the tables. They're just about as good as you could get them. I haven't really heard any complaints either, so, which is hard to avoid that with 256 players, and some of them got to get beat.
Well, eventually 255 of them will get beaten.
Yeah, he's uses extension here on the push out as well. Is that right? I'm not sure if he's given up a piece of this or if it's more of a jump. Okay, he did go forward.
Well, again, I think we're seeing a lot of this over the course of the last couple of tournaments from a lot of players. Not the best push out, that.
Yeah, he was in a sticky spot, but I thought he could have pushed out a little tougher than that. The 3 was very difficult with no pockets. You could have pushed out to the inner rail with some type of challenge. Great hit there. And if I had to pick out one thing that people always ask about eras and the players and whatnot, and I truly believe champions from years ago would have been champions till today. Now, I will say that I think there's more great players today than there were years ago. I think that even the years ago guys would tell you that. But the era today, I do think that's one department they're a little lighter than the top players years ago, is the push out. And it's not easy. He's trying to play this off the pink, off the rail, off the pink. And squeezed it home. Great shot.
Yes, and it's not just the inexperienced lower rank players who are making some howlers with the push out. It's really top players with great records.
Yeah, caught that a little thin to the pocket. That way he caught the pink. I think if he catches it to the center, he goes by the pink. And now difficult decision. And yeah, with the push out, you know, you really gotta push out to where you have a chance to get it back. You can't be automatic like Jesus. He was never giving that back on that push out because the safety was too easy. Wow. How do they say it in golf? Soft hands, I think it is for the short game.
Yeah, that's one statement I've never understood in golf when they say, oh, he's got a great short game for a big man. Well, if you're a big man, you can have a good short game. It doesn't preclude you from being a good chipper and putter.
Yeah, this is going to be a little shy of his mark. We'll see if it gets odd. The 7 is a little covered up. Now, Jesus isn't, 6'3", but he's kind of a long guy for his height. So he should be able to stretch and get to this pretty easily. He's maybe going to have to take a bit of a shot on the 7, though, from some distance.
We were talking about Neil Svine missing the 9-ball in the second rack, but then doubling it. Well, he's now 3-0 up on Konrad Yuzushin. And what's more, the Dutchman should be making it 4-0. If he doesn't from the position he's in, that would be a real blunder.
Yeah, Fran at the moment is not settled in, that's for sure. Little shocked he didn't go for the bank there. I thought it was going to be difficult to get behind the 7-9 and really contain the green 6. Is he going to get the right bump? No, he's not. I don't know if this goes. Maybe the 7-9 is on. It's close to the lower right corner. He may have to throw it a bit. Now it's aimed into the bottom rail, but can he make a little momentum pushing on the 7, kind of make the 9 change directions? I think that was makeable if he wanted to try and take a chance at it. Now, it's not only left a shot, but a 9-ball near the pocket.
a smile never far from Atencio's face. But I think that was more an ironic smile because he realised what he'd done. Now, what a pressurised pot this is. It's basically for the rack. He couldn't quite eliminate the shoulder from that shot, but it went in regardless. And so, after being 3-0 down, FSR will be relieved to only trail 3-2. Plenty of past champions came this year, including my co-commentator Jeremy Jones. Many of them have fallen by the wayside, but I think it's quite interesting to note that the last 6 winners of this event are all still in. Jason Shaw, Joshua Filler, Carlo Biardo, Francisco Sanchez Ruiz, the 2022 champion, Koping Chung and Fedor Gorst. Carlo Biardo getting his first rack on the board on table 9 against Dennis Graber. It's now 3-1. Mieszko Fortunski, who was runner-up in the UK Open last year to Robbie Capito. Well, the Butcher, he's 3-1 up on Bernie Regulario. Albin Auschen has taken a 2-1 lead over Lucas Fracasso-Werner. I saw green shoots of recovery in the game of Albin Auschen in Florida. I think he's due to do good things again. Marco Tutor of Holland, 3-0 up on Baseth Mokaibat. Badr Alawadi, 3-1 over Nicholas Tan. And indeed, Niels Feyen on table 4 has taken a 4-0 lead over Konrad Yuzhushin. And looking at our monitor here, Feyen has got an absolutely golden opportunity for 5-0.
Yeah, I was talking about it earlier. I really think we're going to see some players put some, string some racks together. And that's why, you really got to be on point with maybe some so-so decisions. We saw one from Jesus when he tried to bank at that 9. 2 cushions with the 1 and kind of got FSR going a bit. FSR's been a little mistreated on the break so far. Making the 1, had a kiss, did a scratch, but no shots. Been a couple push-outs since.
But when he was the man and he was winning everything, he wasn't mistreated on the break. He was just the opposite. Everything was working brilliantly in that department. Better than anyone else.
Yeah, I wonder what the stat or the average was after he won a game, how many times it cost his opponent 2 games. It obviously wasn't every time. That would be, he would have won every tournament probably. Seems like he did anyways, but he certainly punished his opponent more than any other player for about 1.5 years' time.
Table 11, Albin Auschen 3-1 over Lucas Fracasso-Werner.
Okay, he should spin this again. FSR's left this off the rail. He should overcut the 2, run the cue ball 2 rails behind the 6 and the 5. Nice. Yeah, that's just too easy of a safety overall. Now, he may have given him an edge. I don't think he has, actually, but that type of shot, okay, if you got to push out there, that's one thing, but you got to leave the cue ball more near the cushion. Can't leave easy cueing for these great players. Sometimes feel also when you're so good tactically, you feel like you can get out of it afterwards, after they play the safety because they kick well or jump well or maneuver some kind of way. Like here, great shot.
So, how are the picks going? My pick to win the event, Joshua Filler, is still in it, but my 2 dark horses aren't. Luong, Doc Tien and Zhang Yulong. What about yourself, Jeremy?
Well, I picked SVB. I'm sure that's why you brought it up. Thanks, Phil. But I picked Duong on my second one. He's still rolling. He's still got a shot. I don't know about you, though. Like earlier talked about, definitely get a different feeling for the tournament today here early. Real grind from these players. Oh, beautiful hit. Really good.
In the last 32 later today, the winner of this match will take on either Tyler Styer or Michael Bohannon. And it's the Filipino who's taken command there. He leads 4-1. Confirmation it is 5-0 for Niels Feijen against Konrad Yuzhushin, and guess what I'm going to say next? He's in for 6-0.
Yeah, trying to create a little luck. Did leave a shot, but rearranged the furniture a bit, and the 3-ball ended up on the side rail in a nasty position. Now, can he double bank this at the upper right corner and hold his ball using the 5 and 8 as cover? Maybe make it? Trying to go behind the pink 4. Handy shot.
Yes, of course, he didn't want to tie the 3 and the 5 up, because if he does get ball in hand, then the table would be open for him.
Is this the jump cue in his hand? I believe it is. Very good jumper of the ball. One of the best out there.
Well, the 3 does not pass the 7, I don't believe. FSR taking a look, but he can't squeeze that through. But he can get Atencio in an awful lot of trouble.
Yeah, and he's looking to see if the 5 goes, just so he can bump the 8 away, just in case he wants to make more room for later in the rack. Just a little tickle on the 8, maybe. Just a... No, he held him up behind it, so that tells us the 5 does go.
Niels Feijen on table 4 messed up his position on the 6 ball. So it looks as though Konrad Yuzhushin is going to get off the mark, belatedly.
Yeah, I'm not sure he's really had a shot besides that bank at the 9.
Ball in hand. The hook from FSR worked. Well, he's already looked, as Jeremy said, to see whether the 5 would go past the 8. I think it will. Certainly he can be coaxed in off the near jaw.
Yeah, I think he's okay. You can use a little of the side rail on this table, that's for sure. Just got to push forward past the 8, I think, anyways. Oh, he put inside. I didn't think he needed inside. Got away with one there, Phil.
That wasn't coaxing. That was praying it dropped. Wow. I'm really surprised it did. These aren't day 1 pockets, it's day 4.
Yeah, just the speed, I guess. Maybe the side spin helped on the cue ball, but even though FSR should tie this match, I feel like he's kind of pressing a little bit. Really trying to squeeze on every ball, which I do get it. You want to stay focused, but also got to get in that playing mentality.
I'll explain after these balls why this is such a big match for Sanchez Ruiz. It's wheels within wheels. Jesus Atencio won the first 3 racks. FSR replies by winning the next 3. Yeah, he's 7th in the World Nineball Tour rankings, FSR. So if he didn't qualify for the Mosconi Cup, I would be very surprised if he missed out on a wild card. But of course, he wants to make the team as of right. Currently, he's 3rd in the standings, behind only Claudio Cacci and Joshua Fuller. Cacci already out of the tournament, of course. So going deep here, I think certainly if he got to the final, would mean that Francisco Sanchez Ruiz would be at the Alexandra Palace that first week of December. And it's a good thing for Team Europe if he qualified automatically, because that gives the captain, whoever that might be, more latitude when it comes to his wildcard picks.
Yeah, like always, yeah, if there's someone out there you feel like you would like on the team, if you're a captain, you want them to qualify through points. And, you know, FSR's performance last year also, I think, was as good as anyone. I mean, Jason did get the MVP, but and he played awesome as well. But I think he could have easily gone to FSR. He played incredibly well, by far his best Mosconi so far.
Absolutely. And that was coming off the back of a very poor performance in the Reyes Cup. There were question marks for me about FSR at that Mosconi, and he answered every question and then some.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Of course, the break gets you going. He's made the 1. He's had one unfortunate scratch, but no looks at the 2, really. That's what he wants. Ooh, the 9 was rocketing towards that side pocket, it appeared, and again here stymied on the 2 ball. Watch this 9 ball, got a massive kiss. Oh, I think it was history in the side.
I talked to Scott Frost about this and about the fact that some don't like the golden break. They feel it's so a little unfortunate, a little abrupt to end a rack. I love golden breaks. Maybe outlaw it if it's hill in a final. Maybe, but other than that, golden breaks for me, yeah, I think they really add to the drama of pool.
Yeah, I mean, certain situations, I could see that. But the break format we have and the break rule we have, especially the cut break with the box, there's so many scratches that come off that 9 ball when you're coming back through the rack with a cue ball that I hate to see a player be able to get penalized so often and then not be able to maybe prosper at the same time. Because you could easily see a kiss on the 9 and scratch at hill, and I think the golden break is a good thing, really.
Table 4, normal service is about to be resumed, i.e. Niels Feijen dominating. Indeed, he's just knocked the 9-ball down the long rail. He leads Konrad Jajushin 6-1.
Is he going for this? This is close to a scratch in the side. No, he went for... Talk about aggression. Wow, what a shot.
And that's Atencio all over. That's the way he plays the game.
Well, it's amazing. You look at the two, and I think at times you want to see FSR be a hair more loose. And therefore, on the other end, Jesus, you want to sometimes feel like him be a hair tighter. So, but the combination of both playing each other here now at 3-3, we may have seen the shot of the match here in rack number 7.
Yes, and because the balls are out, he's going to gain so much from it, or at least he should gain so much from it. Not like he pulled off that spectacular bank with a couple of clusters there, so it wasn't going to impact the rack. It's massively impacted the rack.
Yeah, and in my opinion, that was probably the best push out we've seen from FSR. You know, really put him on the fence on what to do. And Jesus, though, like I said, he's wanting to bury that big shot to get himself going, and always trying to put some racks together behind it.
Yeah, he's the kind of character, if he was a golfer and he had a borderline carry over water, he'd go for it. He'd be like the Kevin Costner character in Tin Cup. Wouldn't be able to resist.
I think I told you that before, though, but Tin Cup was filmed at a course I used to be a member at, Deerwood Country Club. They have the Tin Cup men's locker room. They actually have 2 4x8 pool tables in there as well.
Well, they're not playing for a cup. They're playing for the Barry Berman Trophy. And of course, $100,000 US first prize, which is double the previous record for the US Open. You like this, Jeremy. We were talking earlier in the week about the very first US Open in 1976, won by Captain Hook, Mike Siegel. I'm just going to look up what his first prize was. It wasn't substantial. It was, I think, just under $3,500.
A little shocked that Mike wasn't here this week at some point in some capacity.
Yes, he showed up at the Florida Open, didn't he? Yeah, he won $3,475.
Well, Phil, you would know a little more than me. I was only 5 years old, but what was that like in 1976? Probably 20K, maybe?
Actually, that's incorrect. What I just said, it was $3,100 he won. So, wow, yeah, with inflation, still a nice sum, but I don't think it's 100,000, is it?
No, it certainly isn't. And hats off to Barry Hearn upping that prize money.
Going to give you a little story about prize money when we see this break, which is totally dry.
Yeah, and he hit him pretty well. Maybe a hair thick. I don't know. We'll get another look. But the one hit that top jaw again. Man, I mean, maybe a hair thicker than he's normal, but it didn't seem like it was bad at all.
Yeah, so quickly, my first ever Open Golf Championship. Not playing, of course, just spectating. It was in 1974 at Royal Lytham and St Anne's. Gary Player won it, and he won £5,000. Now this week it's the Tour Championship at Eastlake in Atlanta, and it's millions on offer.
Yeah, 25 million, I believe it is. A little safety behind the 8 probably just keeps it simple here as much as you can. You're not in love with those types of safeties, but, you know, getting the snooker at that point, pretty important.
First ever winner of the World Snooker Championship in 1927, Joe Davis. He won £6 and 10 shillings, which was £6.50. Translate that into dollars, it's about $9 he won.
All right, type of shot these players kick in a little more often than you would think.
It's the Atencio highlight reel.
Well, that's why when you saw whenever FSR left the table, had a little shake of the head, just pretty direct kick across. And the main thing he didn't like is leaving the object ball a little more near the cushion. Makes judging those kick shots much easier, much more, you know, you feel much more excuse me, positive about it if you're Jesus. You know, you get players that you know something's coming, or it seems like there's a certain time in the match where they really get going, and that mid-match has been it for Jesus for the most part. Saw a lot of that in Florida, seen a lot of that here. Really expects to put a little separation together at some point, and this, oh, as soon as I open my mouth. Huge miss.
The 4 again.
Yeah, and he certainly kind of two-stroked it. First time he really didn't settle the tip before the shot, just kind of let it go. Yeah, he didn't need much. The 5's there, the 6 is over the side. Tell you, this is one to think about. You can kick to the bottom rail trying to cross this, or definitely guarantee the hit, but I may consider going to the top cushion here and trying to kick this ball in. Yeah, like this. I mean, he's a great kicker of the ball. Of course, kicking safe's always nice, but sometimes you got to realize you still have the worst of it, and maybe just try and bury a big one. He's trying to get a visual of the shot clock. There's no visual at the moment. Yeah, still may consider that top cushion like he's looking at. Trying to cross this, wants to avoid the double kiss.
At the start of the week, Jeremy, I said that it was going to be my goal to mention every single winner of the US Open, at least on one occasion. I think I've done most, but there are still a few gaps to be filled. So at the end of this rack, I'm going to give you a name. You can talk about it. 9 ball in motion. Cue ball on the precipice. But the 4 very much there.
I wonder if we can get a real-time replay there, because that cue ball acted awfully funny in that side pocket. And that's why you saw FSR kind of look at it, because he saw it kind of bend back. Really odd.
So it would seem as though Atencio, when he missed the 4, indirectly, it's going to prove expensive. Yeah, that cue ball, when it went, I was going to say into the side, can't believe it didn't drop.
Well, it looked like it almost went the other way a little bit, like back towards the table, the center of the table. I'll tell you a name that we talk about a lot, but and wonder about some things at times, but really like what I've heard from him and seen this week is Eagle Eye. I think he's in a good place mentally.
Had a really good chat with Jason yesterday morning, actually, and I was really encouraged because when he plays well, it's a joy to behold, and got the impression, yeah, he's up for it.
Yeah, the break gets these players going, and that's what creates separation in these matches, and just hasn't been the case for either player. Now knotted at 4 apiece.
Yeah, and it's the 4-ball, as it was in Florida, that's cost Atencio. Yeah, the name I was going to mention, Jeremy, as we see this cue ball into the middle. Oh, you're right, it did. Now that went around the rim and then came back the other way.
Yeah, it's almost like there was a bevel there, or a little bit of a speed bump it ran into.
That was a really interesting replay, which illuminated what you were talking about. Yeah, the name I was going to mention, the oldest ever winner of the US Open at Keymaster Billiards in Norfolk, Virginia in 1988, Mike LeBron. He was 54 years old when he captured the title.
Yeah, Spanish Mike is what they called him, even though he was Puerto Rican. Great player, offensive player, could really knock the ball in. You ever meet Mike?
I didn't know. He beat Nick Varner 11-6 in the final.
Yeah, and then Varner went on to win a couple in a row, or 2 out of 3, I believe it was, right after that.
One of the most dominant performances in the final was 4 years after LeBron triumphed, Tommy Kennedy beating Johnny Archer 9-1. And of course, the year before that, it was the win for the late great Buddy Hall over Dennis Hatch, 9-8.
Yeah, I talk about that match a lot, that not only a great win for Buddy, but if Dennis Hatch wins that US Open, I think he may go on to win many of them. It was just a very influential match, I thought, in Dennis's career early. What was he? I think he was 21 years old, if I remember correctly.
Michael Bohannon, look at this. Looks very much like he's going to take a 6-2 lead over Tyler Styer.
Yeah, Tyler really hadn't had many worries early in this event. He sometimes has some struggles the first match or two, and then really gets himself going. Sometimes early in matches can tend to have a few mistakes. Maybe that's the case here, maybe not, but needs a shot at the table to try and get back in it.
There's been a timeout taken on table 1, hence flitting around on the other tables for us. Ten Filipinos in the last 64, underlining just how powerful a nation they are when it comes to pool. And a number of leading Filipinos like James Arenas and Anton Raga aren't even here. AJ Manis, another Filipino not in the field, so collectively they're doing brilliantly, and individually Bohannon is doing very nicely. Same applies to Niels Fine on table 4. He's crushing Konrad Jezushin. Had it not been for that poor positional shot onto the 6 in the the one rack he lost. This might have had the makings of a donut. I always thought Niels Feyen had got the makings of a European Mosconi Cup captain, but he didn't really want the job because he was always convinced he could still compete at the highest level. He's still got much left to offer, and he could make the team as of right, playing.
Yeah, and he would bring a lot to a team, whether it be a player or as a captain. I think certainly that job will be there one day for him. All right, FSR has been real tough sledding, getting a shot after the break. I like this, a little more pace. I like that a lot. I think he was kind of controlling it a little bit at first, the break shot, getting a lot of clusters. And, you know, if you get a shot sometimes with, you know, those clusters, you know, position can be a little easier, a little shorter cue ball movement throughout the rack. But if you don't get a shot and there's a bunch of clusters around, very difficult to push out, and we've seen that as well.
The applause you heard is for Niels Feyen, who's taken an 8-1 lead.
Yeah, semi-finalist last year at this U.S. Open. It was last year, right? I'm not overlooking that, right? I believe he lost to, well, I think it was Shane. Maybe that was the year before he was a semi-finalist. It may have been the year before. I think last year was actually Vitali Patsura played SVB and Federer played Rota. Is that right? So it was the year before that Niels made the semifinals. Excuse me.
Sanchez Ruiz looking anxiously there. He wanted an angle on the 6 to naturally come down for the 7.
And for his first lead, I believe, of this match.
It is. He was 3-0 and 4-3 behind. Is it going to be another pink ball regret for Atencio? FSR in front. Now he'll want to consolidate and build on this. So the very latest scores. After a bright start from Matt Edwards, it's looking as though Duong Quoc Wang is getting the better of the New Zealander. The Vietnamese player leads 6-3. Naoki Oi 7-3 up on Jonas Suto. We know about Michael Bohannon. We saw him take a 6-2 lead over Tyler Steyer. Marco Chuta 5-1 over Baseth Makaibat. It's quite slow going on table 11. Albin Auschen 4-2 over Lucas Fracasso Werner. Bala Alawadi 6-2 against Nicholas Tan. Even slower going on table 17, Alexa Pachelch. He's only 3-2 up on Christian Sadea. Mieszko Fortunski 3 racks away from victory against Bernie Regulario at 7-2. Jeffrey Rodder 5-4 over Oliver Sholnocki. Sholnocki at the recent World Nineball Championship was involved in a 4-hour match. That was a race to 9, by the way. This is race to 10. Chris Reinhold 5-2 over Sullivan Clark. John Morrow 5-4 over Marvin Assis. And Dennis Grabber, he could be completing a shock on table 9. He's halfway there. He leads Carlo Biardo 5-2.
All right, caught it a little heavier than he wanted. Acting quite open as well as the last, but he's got a good look. So things turning around for the former U.S. Open champion. right, can he get between the 8 and 9, dropping for the 3? The pink 4 is going to be a little bit of an issue. Well, this may work out. He's got to make a 3-7 combo that isn't easy, but he can go into the pink. A lot of body movement on that shot. A little bit of twist, a little bit of turn.
Yeah, even when he was winning everything, it seemed, FSR couldn't eliminate that body movement on shots.
Well, he's just grabbed his first lead and starting to get shots on the break. He wants to continue offensively, and as I think he should. I mean, if the 7 is frozen now, this combination isn't as easy as you think. There's not much room for error. I think he's going at it. Yeah, there's always going to be a little funny going into the pink 4. Has a look at the 3, but really a nasty out. Can he zigzag the cue ball with draw spin by the 8 to come back for the pink in the same pocket as the red 3? That's what he's looking at now. A high inside ball, really not an option with the 9 there. That's impeding the path of the cue ball, I think. Oh, he could go 3 cushions.
Can't escape the impression this is a very big rack. On the nose, clever and well executed. Because it's the World Nineball champion, I have to give you this score. Paulo Biardo 6-2 down to Dennis Grabber.
Well, Dennis again getting the biggest win of his career earlier this year in Las Vegas, and I think it's done well for his psyche. Like you said, taking a real bad loss early, but shaking it off and moving forward. Got to swerve this a bit to kick and stick, get up behind this pink, so you'll see the cue elevate in the back. He swerved it too much. He may get fortunate with the black 8 here. Oh, what a big snooker from nowhere.
One of those matches where momentum seems to be shifting from shot to shot, let alone from rack to rack.
Yeah, it's no one's gotten a hold of that momentum is what it really feels like. And oh my. Had a long ways to go to get over that 8. It was a couple feet away from the cue ball, and that's what caused that foul.
So the 4 ball on the carpet, the cue ball in the pocket. That qualifies as a foul shot, I think.
Lots of juniors in the red jerseys. They started this morning, and it's amazing now that we've been doing these a little bit. That's evolved. You know, we've lost some juniors that have gotten a little too old, and then we've gotten some that have primed up their game, looking to win some matches, maybe take down that title.
Yes, today and tomorrow it's the Shane Van Boening Junior Open.
All right, got a little flat on the 8, so he's got to make a little bit of a thin one on the 9. Sets up well for Jesus. Gets through the ball so nicely, this shot becomes a little easier.
Even before they broke off, you thought it was going to be close, and that is most certainly the case. Not the only match tied at 5-5 though. John Morrow was nicely in front against Marvin Assis, but now it is all square on table 20. Van Alawadi doubling up on Nicholas Tan at 6-3. Neil Svyan on the hill on table 4, could well be the first player into the last 32. He's breaking in rack 11 as I speak. Mieszko Fortunski 8-3 up on Bernie Regulario. Fortunski's a fine player, but that's a surprise to me. Naoki Oi looking good against Jonas Suto at 7-3.
Yeah, talked about it yesterday with Carl, I think it was, and you know, we made our picks at the beginning of the tournament, and then you kind of watch a few days, and then you think about it again, and I really liked what I saw from Oi, which I always do, really, but I think he likes this place. I feel like the U.S. Open is something special for him, even though he's never won it. I think he could be a threat come Saturday, really. He can stay in it.
Yeah, very few matches in this round you can predict with any great certainty. I think I would be astounded if Koping Chung didn't win his match. He takes on Liu Wei Chan, who, yes, he beat Skylar Woodward on the main table, but he didn't play all that sparklingly well to do so. As I say, the momentum just keeps shifting around.
Yeah, the break gets these players going, but also at times it can really slow them down, and that's been the case in this match for both players at times.
Well, the dish needs some working out, but now the computations have been made. I think you'd have to say FSR favourite to dish.
Yeah, only the 3 up table, and then all the rest on the bottom end, so it should be pretty limited cue ball movement. Just get out to the center here. Got the pink 4, and then the 5 does pass the 6. And he wants to hold just a hair of an angle.
Plays that shot with running English so well, does FSR. Certain shots fit certain pool players' eyes, and that's one he relishes. Happy to come short side.
Yeah, didn't necessarily want to land on the rail, but pretty easy shot overall. Shouldn't be a problem.
Yes, it is. Again, a 1-rack advantage for Francisco Sanchez Ruiz. He led 5-4. Now he's 6-5 in front. Now on table 4, Neil Svyan on the hill against Konrad Yuzhushin. He has missed a very simple 2-ball in this rack already. And the bank didn't work out. 2-way shot, of course. But Yuzhushin has to win 9 consecutive racks to pull this out of the fire, and that seems fanciful. especially after that, Jeremy.
Yeah, just a one-sided match. Niels, again, missing that 9, which he got away with, but also was maybe a little bit of a wake-up call. Found something there. Has played a beautiful match since, obviously, to have this kind of score. But probably just very limited time for Conrad.
And he's never been frightened to give him a good thump, has he, Niels Fire?
No, nobody shoots the 9 in harder than him, I tell you that, as a whole anyways. Which to me is always surprising how hard the players shoot the 9. A little bit of a convincing kind of way to win, I guess. Good feeling.
Now can Francisco Sanchez Ruiz take a 2-rack lead for the first time?
And he's missed the 1. You could hear a little grunt. Didn't like the way he hit it. And again, the break shot just not doing much for either player. Tyler Steyer trying to make a little bit of a comeback. Was down pretty heavy. Has a little bit of a missable 9 on table number 2 to get it back to 6-4. Great breaker of the balls, so always in it.
Yes, the 9 was missable, but he didn't miss it. Oh, and that's so well held. Niels fine.
Yeah, Niels, if he just gets on this 6 ball here, that should tell the story and put him in position to clean up, and a very convincing win. Gets a little time off before he plays later this afternoon to try and make another final 16. Oh, man. He's gotten away with that big time, but what a miss.
It's an easy word to use, but it is the case, I think, with Atencio. He's just a little too loose. If you miss 2 or 3 of those each match, doesn't matter how many highlight reel shots you pull off, you're going to leave yourself susceptible to defeat, especially against world-class opposition.
Well, you know, whether it's definitely not by design, you wouldn't think, but you know, as far as like working on someone's psyche or what they like to do, this probably couldn't have gone any better for FSR. Kind of like the break slowing both players down, and you know, FSR of course wants to get breaking runs and whatnot, but if it's going to happen to both players, I think he would take that. Now Mr. Hall of Famer Niels Fine with the 9 to advance. Our first through to the final 32.
Yes, and very convincingly indeed. He defeats Konrad Yuzhushin 10-1. He now awaits either Badr Alawadi or Nicholas Tan. Alawadi leading that match 7-3.
Tell you what, I'm like watching the juniors, but we have one lady in it, and I'm watching her cue the ball here, Phil. And watch this pretty solid stuff here, pretty solid stroke. Y'all can't see it. It's a true treat, but I'd bet she makes it. Oh, there I jinxed her.
Well, of course, in our last junior event in Florida, Sophia Mast came very close to capturing the title. She was 7-5 up against Hayden Ernst. Potted the 9 ball for 8-5, scratched, and lost 9-7.
Yeah, Hayden is here also, I believe anyways. I think I saw him. Okay, so here's another opportunity. Get this match tied back up. Yeah, young lady had missed one since. What is she, you think? 10? 9? 10?
In that ballpark.
Yeah.
You don't guess a lady's age, do you?
Well, she's a kid, you know what I mean? But all right, so does the 5 pass the 8 in the side? It certainly doesn't pass the green 6 up in the corner, so there may be a lot more work here than what you would think at first glance. Yeah, just have a look around the room, Phil, and just tell you how the pool world's doing. So many different people here and so many of them. And it will get more full as these days move on.
You're right, by the way. Hayden Ernst is in the junior events. He's taking on Kevin Bryant first.
All right, kiss shot on the 8 here. He's got to control the 5. Oh, he's missed the 8. Lucky for him, didn't do well with the 5 either.
So twice in this rack he's played a bad shot, and on both occasions he's got away with it.
FSR so crafty with the safety, though. I mean, I wonder how he plays this. Does he just secure the 5 to the top rail? It's hard to get the snooker unless he tries to kind of feather coming past the side and maybe dropping underneath the 7. Okay, he decided, let me just get the ball on the end rail. You would feel like Jesus would get the snooker behind the green 6. I wonder if the kiss shot on the 7 is a possibility here. We'll see how he cues the ball. Okay, he's hitting like a high ball, so just banking the 5 back up to the top, I think. Oh, he's double kissed it.
When you have a rack like this and a player gets away with mistakes on more than one occasion, it's almost as though they're destined to win it. I've dispatched our producer Hannah over to speak to the young lady who was practicing.
Great shot there. He's going to have to make another, cueing near the rail. Tell this shot here will win the rack, though, if he can bury the 6 with the 7. Very handy, the 8 in the side. Nice one there with those soft hands. Yeah, it looked a little light on the speed. I thought he'd be coming back down for the side, but now dressed up on the corner to tie this match once again.
Yeah, as I said, I thought he was destined to win that rack late on, and it's most certainly the case. So, the young lady you were watching practicing, Tanvi Valam. She's from India, but she now lives in Atlanta, Georgia, and she's 11 years old.
Yeah, I met her parents, I believe.
So as Tanvi continues to practice and knock in a very high percentage of the pots she's taking on, which aren't easy, by the way. So our first look at the juniors. 2-day event, for the Shane Van Boening Jr. Open Trophy. I would say that Hayden Ernst would be favourite, especially after his capture of the corresponding event in Florida a couple of weeks ago. Hayden actually then travelled up to the Battle of the Bull in Virginia.
9-ball for Bo Annan to take an 8-4 lead over Tyler Steyer. Sorry, y'all, we got all 4 screens we can look at.
Yeah, lots of matches now getting very much to the business end. Dennis Grabber, he could be about to record a very significant victory over Carlo Biardo. We talk about him as the World Nineball Champion because he is the reigning World Nineball Champion, but he's also the 2021 US Open Champion. And Grabber leads 8-3.
Yeah, and he's also going to be our next inductee into the BCA Hall of Fame later this year, Carlo Biardo. So, okay, again, look at the cue ball getting pinned behind another ball with the 2 nears. It's been like that for both players pretty much the entire match.
The second player through to the last 32 is Mieszko Fortunski. He's beaten Bernie Regalario 10-4.
Yeah, and it just seemed like with Bernie's score lines this week, even with wins, there were some struggles. So again, young, great player, but still 9-ball pool can be funny for any player at times.
Yeah, well, look at Claudio Cacci. When he got to the semi-final of the World Championship in Jeddah, I think we all assumed he was going to go on a real run of success. And yet, Florida, Battle of the Bull here, it's been pretty mundane.
And that's why we watch this 9-ball pool, because you never know. Now a difficult push out just because he knows with the 6 near, he can't push out to anything easy offensively, but the safety behind the 6 or something like that can be just as routine for FSR. Boy, you don't want to push out risky to where you may be snookered though. So he's got to be very, very careful here. Big moment at 6-6 in this race to 10. Okay, so now he's going to get planted behind the 6. So I don't understand that push out, to be fair. Phil, a safety here is very routine.
Results coming in thick and fast now. Naoki Oi, the court jester, has had the last laugh against Jonas Suto. He had most of the laughs. He won 10-3. As we say in the UK, asking for it.
Yeah, I wouldn't, be frank about it. I mean, it wasn't anything easy on the push out. There wasn't going to be an obvious one on where to go, but it had to be something different than that. Can't be that easy of a return safety for your opponent coming in off the push out. If he hits it, might make it.
Did you see that middle pocket? It did it again on the 3.
Yeah, I think that may be something that needs addressed. It kind of looked like the 3 acted funny, just like the cue ball did a few games ago.
Look at the 3. Oh, definitely. It's a raised rim.
Yeah, and you'll see that occasionally on a pool table, but not very often.
So, Jeremy, is that easily remedied?
Yeah, I mean, now the problem is that it would take some work and uncovering the table and whatnot, so not sure. Of course, Ernesto Dominguez is here, and the table fitters, there's a lot of great mechanics here, but there's definitely some type of little bevel or some type of little speed bump-ish right there on the rim of that left side pocket.
played that delicately because he wanted the 2-ball to remain over the middle.
The speed is a little heavy. I'm a little surprised he went the Cinchy route there. He could have drawn that cue ball and drawn between the 4-9 and really kept control of it. But big misposition there from FSR. You know, and as far as that side pocket's concerned, Phil, and you know, you figure you might go the entire event and really not make a difference, but it's almost like Murphy's Law. Once it's got brought up and seen, we feel like we're going to see it again.
Well, the three most common ways it could make a difference: repelling a 1-ball on a break, if you play pocket weight and it just reaches the pocket and just rocks back, or indeed if a ball gets stuck in the jaws and then somehow pops out.
Well, we've already seen a cue ball that, you know, got excused from a scratch, really, because of that, it seemed like. So, and now that 3-ball looked like it could have fallen.
Double cover with the 7 and the 8. This has turned into a real dogfight, this match. Atencio was hoping for the 4-ball to just come to rest on the cushion. The fact it's stopped short means this spot is a whole lot easier. It's not a certainty, but it's easier. Let the stroke out nicely there. Cue ball travelling a lot, and it will be travelling a lot after this. And now the key to the rack surely will be shape from 6 to 7. Completed without alarm. If you're just joining this match, Jesus Atencio made a lightning start. He was 3-0 up. FSR won the next 3 racks, and since then it's been to and fro. But now for the 3rd time, the Spaniard leads. It was 5-4, it was 6-5. Now it's 7-6, 3 more needed by the former WNT rankings #1. on table 15, Brandon Schuff and Fitim Haridinaj have just begun. Duong Kwok Wang leads Matt Edwards 7-4. Michael Bohannon 8-4 up on Tyler Steyer. Make that 9-4. He's just gone to the hill. Marco Chuter in a battle against Baseth Makaibat. The Dutchman 5-4 in front. How about this for a match? They've been going for 1 hour 40 minutes. The score is 4-3 to Albin Ashen over Lucas Fracasso Werner. Bala Alawadi doubling up on Nicholas Tan at 8-4. Alexa Pachelch 6-2 over Christian Sedea. It's 7-7 Jeffrey Rodder and Oliver Sholnocki. 6-5 for Sullivan Clark, now the New Zealander, over Chris Reinhold. Just getting underway, Win Antoine and Mustafa Alna. That's Vietnam against Turkey. Chang Long and Ayato Ishikata. Table 8, they're just beginning. Same for table 19, where it's Koping Chung, who's a big favourite to beat Liu Wei Chan. Right at the foot of the bracket. John Morrow now 8-5 up on Marvin Assis. It remains 8-3 for Dennis Grabber over Carlo Biardo. So finally can Francisco Sanchez Ruiz start to dominate.
All right, you buy your time with this break shot, trying to get a look at the blue 2 for something offensive, and he has it. Still got to make a tricky one here. The good thing is he doesn't have to worry about a scratch, right, when playing the 2 and coming across towards the black 8 to hold position on the 3. Just bear down on pocketing the 2. I think the one thing that, and I can say this firsthand, I experienced it last night, is you get on the slick table and you feel like the pocket's a hair easier. You can get to where you're trying to make the game too easy on yourself. Let me get cinch position here. Let me try and use a certain speed when pocketing the ball. I think you really get away from what you can do well, which is, just run out, really. I think FSR and all of us are guilty of that at times. Now, it'd be nice to hear to draw past the 8, because getting on the 5 can be a little odd with the 9 being there and the pink 4 that position. Yeah, I wasn't so sure about that. I don't think it's easy to get by the 9 and hold position on the purple 5, but we'll see. I don't think he's got any chance of reaching that. A little smirk from the Spaniard.
Alignment askew. So he did well to just knock it in. Looks as though the end is nigh for Tyler Steyer. On table 2, Michael Bohannon has played a pretty solid match here. And he's got 7, 8 and 9 to be 10-4 Roger over and out.
Yeah, and I didn't really see mistakes from Tyler. Sometimes at the beginning of the match he can struggle. That's usually more early in the tournament. I think it's one of those matches Bohannon had the chances early and took full advantage.
Well, if he doesn't complete the job here, he will be raging. And that's the great thing about the Filipinos. Even their second string players, without wishing to be disrespectful, are outstanding. Tyler Steyer can head back to his home state of Wisconsin. He's been beaten 10-4 by Michael Bohannon, and now the Filipino will await the winner of FSR against Atencio.
Yeah, and it looks like FSR can play this 6 back up table, kill the cue ball, maybe using the 8 to get a little bit of cover. Yeah, just like this. So good at that type of shot. The bare ball snooker.
Because he plays such good attacking pool, and because he's got that excellent break, I sometimes think FSR's tactical knowledge is underrated. It shouldn't be.
Yeah, amongst the players, I don't think it is as much. We're learning so much from David. David's so good tactically and has, made a career out of playing safe at times, but FSR are very, very good on the tactical side of things. I think it's almost like Kachi, to be honest. He's so powerful, breaks the ball so well. We've got a doppelganger on table number 3, is it?
Yeah, I just looked up on table 3. Oh, as he overcuts the green 6. Where's the cue ball going? Is it going to save him? No. Yeah, I just looked up on table 3 and there's a referee over there. I thought, well, I'm not there as well as here. I can't be in 2 places at once. He is very alike. My good self.
Yeah, big overcut. Missed it by so much that he didn't really even sell out, I don't think. I don't know if this is cuttable on the side. I was trying to float it by, trying to get a safety. Pretty good little shot there. FSR is going to have to try and kick it in the upper left, I think, off the side cushion.
Wanted a thinner contact than that. And so once again, it looks as though we might well be tied up.
Yeah, pay attention to this one. Easy to pull this off the rail a bit. Yeah, we're going to be tied here shortly at 7 apiece. It's going to be a race to 3 for their tournament life. And of course, whoever loses this match isn't going to be happy. Whoever wins, it's just going to be happy it's over with, I think. I'm feeling maybe try to have a bit of a better feeling in the final 32.
Yeah, Atencio sticking with FSR. 7-7. I will say, and this isn't a case of an outrageous run of luck. I think Atencio has been slightly the luckier in this match.
Yeah, and I think more than anything, just FSR getting snookered after the break as a whole, where Atencio's had a few more of those opportunities. And what I said a minute ago doesn't mean they played a bad match. It just has been a match where neither one of them has got that good feeling going, really let the arm get loose a bit more.
By the way, play began 1 hour 50 minutes ago, and out there on the non-shot clock tables, we've got 3 matches where only 9 racks have been completed. That's slow. Duan Kokwang isn't slow. He's attractive to watch, and he's on table 3 right now on WNT.tv. He's doubling up on Matt Edwards at 8-4. Dennis Grabber, this is the big story of the session, on the hill against Carlo Biardo. Looks as though there isn't going to be a World Championship US Open double for the Filipino. Grabber 9-3 up. Fitzim Haradinaj has made a good start against Brandon Schuff, the man from Western Maryland. Haradinaj leads 2-0. Alex Kazakis taking the opening rack from Mickey Krause. John Morra, he's had a good time of it the last few weeks. He's 8-6 up on Marvin Assis. Well, I was saying I thought Ko Ping Chung was a good thing to beat Lu Wei Chan, Skylar Woodward's conqueror in winners qualification yesterday. What do I know? Lu has won the first 2 racks. It's been hard going on table 17. Alexa Pachelsch now 7-2 up on Christian Sadea. And Loho Summers taking the first rack from Joshua Filler. The form book not really standing up, is it? A lot of big names already out of the event, and several more could be going out in this round.
Yeah, former World Pro Pool Masters finals pairing there with Loho Sum and Josh Filler. When Loho Sum kind of hit the scene. Here's that shot after the break. I thought that maybe he's getting a few more, and he's got a good one here. He's got to come 2 cushions between the 3-9. But this is a runnable rack to take a lead late.
By the way, that dark horse of mine, Chang Yulong, 3-0 up on Ayato Ishikata. He doesn't get down over the cue. He can be very deceptive. He doesn't look anything as a player, but he brings it.
Yeah, well, once you see that stroke, you change your mind quickly and realize he knows exactly what he's doing. Real nice shot there. He's going to have to play a 5-7 combination here in a few swings of the cue, but really shouldn't be much of a problem. All right, could go outside, which I like. Get 2 cushions off the pink. Yeah, I like that. Now you just got to use that good touch. Don't let the 5 get away in a bad spot. Not to continue the run after this combination's made.
After this shot, I'm going to give you a big result. Dennis Grabber of Estonia has beaten the world champion Carlo Biardo 10-3.
Well, it was probably one of those matches where Carlo just didn't get a lot of time. That's what the score kind of tells us. And we know Dennis very capable against anyone at any time. And just wondering what's going to happen at the end of this match here. Lots of lead changes. I don't think there's been a 2 or 3 game lead since very, very early in the match.
Last 2-rack lead. It was Atencio's at 3-1.
Well, Atencio grabbed the lead back here at 8-7, or as he should anyways, with a break and run here at a crucial moment.
He's got a special quality, Atencio. Yes, he misses the odd one. Yes, he sometimes takes on the incorrect shot. But when it comes to holding his nerve, he just looks entirely relaxed. And that's such a massive thing. John Morra, 8-7 up now on Marvin Assis. That match is tightening up. Lu Hui Chan, 3-0 up on Ko Ping Chung. Lots of former winners not prospering today. Joshua Filler, he's quickly equalised against Loho Summit, 1-1. Wojciech Shevchik, he's 1-0 up on Oscar Dominguez. And look at Duong Kwok Wang on the hill against Matt Edwards. Edwards made a pretty good start there. He won the first couple of racks. But the Vietnamese hero, it's prime time, of course, back in Vietnam, so we've got a lot of viewers over there. If you're watching this, you'll be delighted with the scoreline. Chris Reinhold and Sullivan Clark in a real battle. 6-6. All tied up as well on table 4 on the Matchroom Pool YouTube channel. Win Antoine and Mustafa Alda, 1-1.
These kids got a lot of heart watching them all lag for the break and getting ready to play these matches. They're playing on the same tables that the pros are playing on. The 4-inch pockets broke in. Not easy for these youngsters, but they love it, I'm sure. And speaking of loving it, one's down. The cue ball needs to slow down. It's going to be another push out. There's been a lot of them in this match.
So, Jeremy, you are a master of knowledge in this situation. What do you do here? What's the best thing?
Man, I think somewhere around this middle of the bottom rail here, I think cutting off the cue ball. Don't think you can really roll out something near the 2. Just too pocketable for these players. So, of course, Jesus so good with the jump cue, but I like right where he's looking right now, the middle of the end rail on the bottom. Gives you a chance to maybe shave the 2 and run the cue ball, maybe play the 2, you know, bank it off the top cushion, play it on the left side rail near the 3, maybe go behind the 7. This is the location I would probably push to for sure.
This match has been quite lengthy. Lengthier than I imagined it would be with these two, because they are fast flowing normally, but I think the awkwardness of the balls is dictated. And the break, as you say, the break for both players simply hasn't worked.
No, and they made the one at a high rate, just really haven't had a whole lot behind it, you know, so not wanting to give an inch. He's trying to see if he can edge this, and what's the scratch look like if he does try to edge the left side. He's going to go for the upper right corner.
Taking so much time that the other commentary team are here chomping at the bit. Carl Boys and Scott Frost, they'll be doing the second match, which is Ekman Kachi against Ko Ping Yi. FSR nails it, not just the bank, but the shape on the 3 as well. And look at this table, it's very inviting. If, as seems highly likely, Sanchez Ruiz does win this rack, it will mean they've tied it up for the 6th time in the match.
Yeah, big draw stroke coming. Looks like he's falling pretty well on the 7. Just got to command the speed a little bit. Yeah, sweetly struck.
Two deep screw shots in succession. And it's 8 racks each. It was 3-3, 4-4, 5-5, 6-6, 7-7, and now all square again. Just a reminder that the Shane Van Boening Junior Open begins today. These juniors so enthusiastic, but they're not out there playing. They're practicing in front of us, and you can see they're thoroughly enjoying themselves. Hayden Ernst, who was the winner of the Florida Junior Open, hoping to complete a double. The winner of the Saudi Junior Championship, which was held in conjunction with the World Nineball Championship a few weeks back, he won't be winning. It was Albert Januarta, the 16-year-old from Indonesia, who has played in the main event here with some distinction, even though he's now not involved. And I can tell you, over on table 3, they've just shook hands. Duong Kwok Wang has defeated Matt Edwards 10-4. So Duong moves forward to take on Japan's Naoki Oi in the last 32. For Tim Haradanaj, he lost his opening match of the tournament. Since then, he's been much improved. And today, well, he's been superb in taking a very quick 5-0 lead over Brandon Schuff. Another player on the hill on table 10, Bad Alawadi. He's 9-5 up on Nicholas Tan. Jeffrey Rodder, 9-8 over Oliver Sholnocki. So those matches could be close to completion. Oh, this break, it is tormenting both of them. And look at the 2-9 combo he's left.
Yeah, it was an awful kiss to start this match for FSR, which resulted in a scratch in one of the lower corners. Now another kind of sick scratch that's going to offer, or a sick kiss that's going to offer a scratch and a quick win, and to the hill for a Jesus Atencio.
Yeah, it was a similar kind of kiss shot with which he won the 3rd rack to lead 3-0. But of course, the later you go, the more scratches on the break, and leaving shots like that hurt. 9-8 Atencio. John Morrow, 9-7 up on Marvin Assis on table 20. Joshua Fuller, my pick to win the whole thing. 2-1 up on Loho Sum from 1-0 down. Wojciech Szewczyk, former World Nineball Championship semi-finalist. He's leading Oscar Dominguez 3-0. Win Antoine 2-1 up on Mustafa Alner. Sullivan Clark, he leads 8-6 against Chris Reinhold. And as I'm speaking, Jeffrey Rodder has defeated Oliver Szolnocki by 10 racks to 8. Torsten Homan beat Felix Vogel to be in the last 64, but he's got a tiger by the tail in Johan Chua here.
Yeah, but Thorsten, you know, he's incredible comeback there in Florida, and he went on to play really good, or really well afterwards. He's played really well here. I think he's kind of turning the clock back a bit, and I think he's certainly a threat. Breaks the balls exceptionally well.
Yeah, the comeback you were talking about, he was 6-0 down, wasn't he, on the main table to Claudio Cacci? And he won that match, and maybe Cacci's poor performance here, well, relatively poor performance, that could be possibly traced back to the effects of that defeat.
Yeah, and you know, we say poor performance, but a lot of times what we mean is just, you know, the results we're looking for from these players. Nine-ball pool is not easy, and there's a lot of tough customers out there, so it doesn't take much of being off to exit these events.
Worth saying as well that Torsten Homan is now a US citizen. Could he be playing for the USA in the Moscone Cup? As Jeremy Jones smiles from ear to ear.
He's a New Yorker now. Been a New Yorker for some time now. It's official. What a great guy, too, Torsten Homan. Always a pleasure to be around. Always kind word for everyone.
Yeah, saw him yesterday. Said, well done, Torsten. And he was very modest. He said it was ugly. It wasn't that ugly. I saw some of it. To beat Felix Vogel these days, okay, Vogel is only 17. Not too far removed from the junior ranks, but he's a fine player who beat Carlo Biardo at the Battle of the Bull last week.
Yeah, and Felix, extreme talent. Very gifted at a young age. He's going to have matches that, you know, the youth is kind of shows a little bit, but then that's how you get better. You got to learn from those little mistakes here and there.
Another result, Badr Alawadi of Kuwait has beaten Nicholas Tan 10-5. So Alawadi now plays Niels Feijen for a place in the last 16. Albin Auschen and Lucas Fracasso Werner. That match is now almost 2 hours and 10 minutes old, and Albin Auschen has just taken a 6-5 lead. It's also 6-5 for Baseth Mokaibat over Marco Tutor. Fitim Haradinaj 6-0 up on Brandon Schuff. Alexa Pacholsh, it was really slow going early against Christian Tadea. Now though, Pacholsh moving towards the winning line at 8-3. And Mickey Kraus in a spot of early bother. He beat David Al-Kaidi nicely in losers qualification yesterday, but he's 3-0 down to Alex Kazakis. So FSR decided to leave the arena there. Don't blame him. Veteran move.
A little gamesmanship. Just desperately wanting a shot. An awful kiss on the break there that served up that combination and got a Jesus to the hill. 9-8 is our score.
It's where you want to be, Jeremy, breaking on the hill.
I was there last night, Phil. Didn't do me a whole lot of good. I'm joking, but
sorry to open that wound.
Yeah, I feel a little better about Jesus getting the one down. Oh, caught the top jaw. Dry break. I've seen that one before. And I think he can make the one. This overhead will tell us more, but And if he can make the one, these are set up to get out. Maybe not. Maybe he can't make the one. But the 2-8 combination, very playable.
Rarely do you see a match involving two players of this ilk, which features so many racks where the break just doesn't function.
Yeah, this tells me he can make it. Yeah, not really taking a whole lot of time there. So should be okay on the combination. Just don't let the 2 get away from you too much. Don't want to end up thin and maybe have to go up and down the table to get on the 3. Cue ball should come over though. A lot of times he likes to drag these in, but I think this one you may want to roll more. That way the cue ball comes across a little more. Really put the shoulder into that one. Phil, you could see the big D cell. That's when the shoulder gets involved.
D cell means overcutting. He overcut the 2 onto the black 8 ball, and that might be his last shot of the tournament.
Yeah, these are set up pretty kindly, and again, whoever wins this match is going to be happy, but kind of want to forget the way it went down. Not a whole lot of good mojo for either player during this match. It's been really a grind.
In this session, we've seen the 2021 champion, Carlo Biardo, exit. Is the man who succeeded him as champion in 2022 going out. And of course, the 2023 champion, Ko Ping Chung, trails also.
Yeah, and years ago, you know, there used to be a lot of players labeled as grinders, you know, get through these events. Nick Varner was one I thought that really exhibited that. But these days, I don't really think that mentality, it can get you through some matches, but don't know if that mentality can really get you through to the wins. Just too many great players looking to put some racks together and knock you out of the event.
It's exactly the same on the snooker tour, let me tell you. You can win the odd match, but you can't fudge it. You've got to play well.
Yeah, you got to play well, and I think like knock in big shots. Run some points, of course, in snooker, put packages together there, but the same in 9-ball pool.
Not a match to savour in terms of its fluency, but a result very much to savour for Jesus Atencio. Pay attention to Atencio in Florida. He was one of the stars of the show early, and now he's beaten a former champion here. Francisco Sanchez Ruiz will not be doubling up as a US Open champion. He's been beaten by 10 racks to 8. Atencio goes into the last 32. So we'll take a 5-minute break. Next up, it is a meeting of pool giants. Eklan Kachi against Ko Ping Yi.